Welcome back to Unique Old Coins, the channel where we uncover the stories and values hidden in plain sight, one coin at a time. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more numismatic deep dives. So, let's set the stage. The year is 1994. Nelson Mandela is elected president of South Africa, Forrest Gump is dominating the box office, and everyone is trying to figure out what the information superhighway is all about. And in the world of U.S. coinage, it was business as usual. The Lincoln cent, designed by Victor D. Brenner, had been featuring the memorial reverse since 1959. By 1994, this design was 35 years old and was truly considered just everyday pocket change. The U.S. Mint was producing them by the billions. There was no talk of changing compositions or designs. The penny was a stable, and some would argue, stagnant, part of American currency. The primary focus of the Mint that year was actually on the new World Cup commemorative coin program and the ongoing 50-state quarters planning. The humble penny was just chugging along in the background. Like all modern U.S. coins, the 1994 penny was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. And the mintage numbers tell a very important story about its potential value. The Philadelphia Mint struck a whopping 6, 500, 850, 000 pennies. That's 6.5 billion coins with a P mint mark, or rather, no mint mark, as Philly tradition dictates. This is an enormous number. To put it in perspective, if you stack them all, you could reach the moon and back. Well, you'd get pretty far. This abundance means finding one in your change is incredibly easy. They are the workhorse of the 1994 penny series. The Denver Mint was even busier. They produced 7, 131, 765, 000 pennies. That's over 7.1 billion coins. The D mint mark is clearly visible under the date. This is actually the highest mintage penny of 1994, making it even more common than its Philadelphia cousin. And now, for the one that's actually different. The San Francisco Mint didn't produce pennies for general circulation in 1994. Instead, they struck 2, 798, 890 proof coins. These were sold exclusively in sets to collectors. Proof coins are struck with specially polished dies and planchets on high-tonnage presses, resulting in a magnificent, mirror-like background and frosted, detailed design. See the difference? Night and day. The S-Mint penny was never intended for pockets. It was made for display. And that is the first key to understanding its value. Okay, let's get to the heart of the matter. You just found a regular, worn, circulated 1994 or 1994 D penny in your change. You check the date, your heart skips a beat. So what's the news? I'm not going to clickbait you guys. The vast majority of 1994 pennies are worth exactly 1 cent. Their value is purely nominal. If you have one that's been spent, jangled, and bounced around for 30 years, it is not rare. It's a common, modern coin. Because they were made in such astronomical numbers, even uncirculated examples, coins that were never spent, are only worth a small premium. That's right. A brand new, shiny 1994 penny straight from a bankroll might fetch a whole quarter, max, and that's really just to a collector who needs one to fill an album slot. So, for circulation finds, we're not talking about a retirement fund. We're talking about, well, a penny. But wait. Don't click away just yet. Because in coin collecting, condition and errors are everything. This is where a common coin can become an uncommon find. Remember that 1994 S proof? In its pristine, original proof condition, it's worth significantly more than face value. 1994 S proof, in original case ***, $2 to $5. 1994 S cameo proof, strong contrast ***, $5, $10 plus. If you find one of these in your change, someone spent their collector's coin by accident, and you've got a nice little score. But it's very, very unlikely. For a coin to have any real value beyond a few cents, it needs to be in absolutely perfect condition. Grading services like PCGS and NGC score coins on a 1 to 70 scale. A regular 1994 penny graded MS67, nearly perfect, might sell $4 $10-$15. To get into the big money, you need a perfect grade. For example, a 1994 penny graded MS67 Plus read by a top-tier service sold for over $2,000. But here's the catch. Achieving that grade is nearly impossible. It requires no imperfections, full, original mint red color, and phenomenal strikes. Your circulated find will never ever get this grade. This is the holy grail for modern coins. The mint is good, but it's not perfect. Errors happen. For the 1994 penny, collectors look for a doubling of the design elements caused by a misaligned die. There are known 1994 double die varieties, but they are extremely rare and require authentication. Where the coin isn't struck correctly in the collar. Broad strikes *** where the coin spreads out beyond its normal diameter. A genuine, dramatic error coin from 1994 could be worth $50, $100, or even more depending on the severity. But these are the needle in a haystack finds, so how do you become a penny detective? It's simple. Get a roll of pennies ** from your bank. Sort by date and mint mark. *** look for that S or anything that looks unusually sharp. Examine condition. *** is it uncirculated? Does it still have its full copper red luster? Look for errors. *** use a magnifying glass to check for doubling or odd strikes. Most importantly, have fun. *** it's a treasure hunt, and the history is in your hands. Oh, let's recap. The 1994 Lincoln cent is an incredibly common coin with a fascinating place in 90s history. The Philadelphia and Denver issues are worth face value in circulated condition. Uncirculated examples might get you a quarter. The 1994 S-proof is the key date for collectors, worth a few dollars. Real value is found only in perfectly graded specimens or genuine errors, both of which are exceptionally rare. The 1994 penny isn't a secret gold mine. But it is a perfect example of how numismatics works. It teaches us about mintage, condition, and rarity. It's a reminder to always be curious, to always look a little closer, because you never know. The next coin in your change could be the one that breaks all the rules. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's 1997, that's not even that old. It's just a penny. And for the most part, you'd be right. But the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. Could a common 1997 cent be hiding a secret error? Could a specific mint mark make it worth more than its 1 cent face value? We're going to answer all of that, explore its history, and by the end of this video, you'll be an expert on this specific slice of American numismatics. So, let's get started. First, let's set the stage. The year is 1997. Bill Clinton is starting his second term, Titanic is breaking box office records, and everyone is trying to figure out what this whole internet thing is all about. In the world of coins, the U.S. Mint was humming along, producing billions of pennies for everyday commerce. The Lincoln cent design we're talking about was, by 1997, a familiar sight. It featured Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, which has been there since 1909. The reverse, however, was the Lincoln Memorial design by Frank Gasparo, which replaced the wheat ears back in 1959. So, in 1997, this design was already 38 years old. The key details to look for are right here. On the obverse, you have the date, 1997, to the right of Lincoln. The mint mark, if it has one, is located just below the date. On the reverse, you can see the tiny statue of Lincoln hidden within the memorial building if you look very closely. A beautiful little Easter egg. Now, the mint marks are our first clue to potential value. In 1997, pennies were struck at 3 different mints. The Philadelphia and Denver mints were producing coins for circulation, and I mean a lot of them. We're talking about billions. The San Francisco Mint, however, had a very different role. Starting in 1968, the San Francisco Mint shifted its primary focus to producing proof coins for collectors. These are not your average pocket change. They are struck with special polished dies and planchets, that's the blank coin disc, multiple times to create a stunning mirror-like finish with frosted details. They are sold directly to collectors in sets. Any 1997 penny with an S mint mark was never intended to be spent at a grocery store. It was a premium product. This is a 1997 S-proof penny. Look at that incredible shine. The background, or the field, is like a mirror, and the raised details of Lincoln and the memorial are frosted. This is a gorgeous coin, but it was made for collectors, not for circulation. Alright, the moment you've been waiting for. Let's talk numbers. What is the 1997 penny worth? Let's break this down by mint mark and condition. If you find one of these in your change, it is almost certainly only worth 1 cent. The mints produced over 4.7 billion pennies that year. They are exceptionally common. Even in uncirculated condition, directly from a bankroll, a 1997p or 1997d penny might only be worth 10 to 25 cents to a collector, and that's only if it's in absolutely perfect mint state condition. The reality is, they are face value coins. But wait. Asterisk asterisk, there's always a but. The value isn't in the coin itself, but in its errors and varieties. The most famous error for modern pennies is the double die. This occurs when the hub imprints the design onto a working die misaligned, creating a doubling effect on the struck coins. It's rare, but it happens. A much more common find is what's called a dryer coin. This isn't a mint error, it's post-mint damage. If a coin gets stuck in a clothes dryer and rattles around for years, it can get flattened, thin, and have a curved rim. It looks weird, but it has no extra numismatic value, so, for a 1997 P or D penny to be valuable, it needs to be a verified, dramatic error, like a strong double die obverse, DDO, or a major off-center strike. These are extremely rare. This is where we see some actual collector value. Remember, this was never circulated. A 1997 S-proof penny in its original sealed proof set is still very common. Millions of these sets were sold. Because of this, the value is modest. An individual 1997 S-proof penny, if you were to buy it separately, might only fetch $1 to $3, essentially for its silver-looking penny album. However, its real value is in the complete set. Original 1997 U.S. proof set, which includes the penny, nickel, dime, quarter, half dollar, and dollar, typically sells $4.15 to $25, depending on the market and condition of the box and packaging. So, the big question: is a circulated 1997 penny worth anything? The short answer is, almost certainly not. Unless you have that 1 in a billion error coin, its value is exactly 1 cent. The 1997 S-proof coin has value, but it was never meant to circulate. You will almost never find one in your change. The true value of the 1997 penny, like so many modern coins, is as a teaching tool. It's a perfect example of a common, modern coin. It teaches us about mint marks, production numbers, and the difference between business strikes and proof strikes. For a new collector, finding a 1997p penny in great condition and putting it in an album is the start of the hobby. It's a piece of history, even if it's not a valuable one. Before we go, I want to leave you with one fascinating piece of trivia. The Lincoln Memorial reverse design was retired in 2008, replaced by the Lincoln Bicentennial series. So, the 1997 penny is part of the long, final chapter of a classic American coin design that served the nation for nearly 50 years. In that way, it has a historical significance that goes beyond its monetary value. So, what do you think? Do you have a jar of pennies you're going to go through now? Let me know in the comments below if you've ever found a 1997 S penny in circulation. That would be a fantastic find. Now, 1960 was a fascinating year for the penny. The Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse was still pretty new, having debuted in 1959. But this year, the U.S. Mint was dealing with a big problem: demand. They were producing hundreds of millions of pennies, and to keep up, they used multiple mints and even multiple styles of the number 1 in the date. And that, right there, is the key to the whole mystery. First, let's talk mints. In 1960, pennies were made at 2 mints: Philadelphia, which don't have a mint mark, and Denver, which have a little dot right below the date on the obverse, the head side. But the real story, the thing that makes 1960 so special, comes from Philadelphia. They actually produced 2 completely different types of pennies that year. We call them the 1960 large date and the 1960 small date. So, what's the difference? Look at the date. On the large date, the numbers are, well, large and chunky. The 1 has a flat, serif base, and the 9 is wide. On the small date, the numbers are thinner, more delicate. The 1 has a pointed, wedge-shaped base, and the 9 is narrower. Why does this matter? Because the small date is much, much rarer. The Mint quickly realized the hubs for the small date dies were wearing out too fast, so they switched to the more durable large date design early in the year. Almost all 1960 pennies you'll find are the large date. Okay, so you've rummaged through your jar and found a 1960 penny. First step: is it a large date or a small date? Now, let's get to the real reason you're here: valued. We have to break this down by type and condition, or what coin collectors call grade. A penny that's been rolling around in a gutter for 60 years is worth a lot less than one that's been sitting in a bank vault its whole life. The 1960 large date from Philadelphia, no mint mark. Billions of these were made. If you have one that's worn, with maybe Lincoln's hair detail faded on the obverse and the steps of the memorial smooth on the reverse, what we call a grade of good, G4, to very good, VG8, this is still just a 1-cent coin. It's worth exactly 1 cent for spending. Maybe a few cents in copper value, but as a numismatic item, it's common. But what if it's in nicer condition? If you have a large date that's bright red, with full details, never circulated, that's where it gets interesting. An uncirculated MS 63 red large date might fetch $5 to $10. A truly gorgeous, gems 65 red could bring $25 to $35. So yes, even a common date can have value if it's preserved perfectly. Next, the 1960 D large date. The Denver Mint also made mostly large dates, and they made over 1 billion of them. The story here is almost identical. A worn, circulated 1960 D is face value. A beautiful uncirculated coin can be worth $2 to $30 depending on its quality and red color. The D mint mark doesn't add a premium here, it's all about condition. Alright, here's the star of the show. The 1960 Philadelphia small date. Remember, these are rare. They represent a tiny fraction of the total mintage. Even in low circulated grades, this coin has a premium. If you find one that's well worn, say good, G4, condition, you're still looking at a coin worth $10 to $20. That's 1,000 times its face value for a coin you can find in circulation. But let's say you find one in nicer, extremely fine, EF40, condition. Now you're in the $30 to $50 range. And the real money? Uncirculated examples. Because so few were made, and even fewer were saved in brilliant condition, the prices jump dramatically now. Hold on to your seats, because we've saved the best for last. This is the holy grail of 1960 pennies. The 1960 D small date was believed for a long time that only Philadelphia made the small date. But then, a few examples from Denver started to appear. They are incredibly rare. We're talking major auction house level rare. Finding a 1960 D small date in any condition is like winning the lottery. A circulated example in good condition would be a $1,000 plus coin. An uncirculated one? You're looking at $10,000 to $30,000 or more. If you ever think you have one of these, you must get it certified by a service like PCGS or NGC immediately. So, how do you find these? Your best bet is to hunt through old rolls of pennies. Ask family members if they have any old coin jars. Look everywhere. When you find a 1960 penny, grab your phone light or a magnifying glass and look at that date. The thrill of the hunt is what makes this hobby so amazing. A piece of history, right there in your hand, that could be hiding a secret fortune. We're going to break down its history, its key varieties, and most importantly, we'll answer the burning question. What is the circulated value of a 1980 penny today? Stick around, because one of these might be sitting in your pocket right now. First, a little context. The Lincoln cent is a true American workhorse. It was first minted in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, replacing the Indian head cent. The reverse, or tail side, designed by Victor D. Brenner, featured 2 wheat stalks, giving us the beloved wheat penny. But in 1959, to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the Mint introduced a new reverse design by Frank Gasparo. This new design featured the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. If you look super closely with a magnifying glass, you can even see a tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial. This is the design found on every 1980 penny. In 1980, the United States Mint produced pennies at 3 different facilities: Philadelphia ***, no mint mark, Denver ***, D mint mark, San Francisco ***, S mint mark. The San Francisco Mint, however, only produced coins for collectors that year. They did not make pennies for general circulation. So, if you find a 1980s penny in your change, it likely should not be there, and that makes it interesting. We'll get to that. Look at those numbers. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 7 billion pennies alone. This makes the 1980 penny, in its most common form, an extremely abundant coin. And in the world of collecting, abundance usually means a lower value. So, let's get to the heart of it. You just found a regular 1980 penny from Philadelphia or Denver in your change. It's been circulating for over 40 years. It has some wear and tear. What's it worth? For a standard 1980 or 1980 penny in average circulated condition, think about what a penny usually looks like. Maybe a bit shiny on the high points, but overall darker, with some minor scratches and wear. Its value is exactly 1 cent. I know, it's not the exciting treasure hunt answer you might have hoped for. But there's a good reason. With billions upon billions made, the supply massively outstrips demand. Coin collectors already have this coin, and many have dozens of them. It is, for all intents and purposes, still just face value currency. Now, if your 1980 penny is heavily worn, almost smooth in places, and dark brown, it's still worth 1 cent, but it's less desirable to collectors. The sweet spot for value, even for common dates, is always in the grade A. But here's where it gets fun. Not all 1980 pennies are created equal. Value in coin collecting is all about condition, errors, and varieties. So, let's talk about what makes a 1980 penny valuable. While a circulated penny is worth 1 cent, an uncirculated 1980 penny is a different story. Uncirculated means it never left the mint and was saved by a collector or stored in a bank bag. It has no wear whatsoever. Its surface will still have the original red copper color. We call these red pennies. A typical 1980 or 1980 penny in uncirculated condition might only be worth 10 to 25 cents. Still not a fortune, but a 10x to 25x return on your initial cent. The value increases for gems. A penny graded MS-65 red by a service like PCGS or NGC could bring $5 to $10. That's a significant premium for a modern coin. Remember that 1980 penny? These were never meant for circulation. They were struck on specially polished planchets with polished dies to create incredible mirror-like background, called the field, and frosted-looking design, called the devices. These are stunning coins. A proof coin in circulated condition is a tragedy. It's been damaged and its special finish is ruined. It might only be worth a few cents. But a 1980 proof in perfect condition, still in its original case, is worth $2 to $4. A high-grade specimen, PR 69 or PR 70 DCAM, could be worth $15 to $25 plus. So if you find an S mint mark, handle it with care. This is it. The big one. The reason you need to check every single 1980 penny. In 1980, the mint was experimenting with new dies. For both the Philadelphia and Denver issues, a very small number of pennies were struck with what we call the small date variety. How can you tell? Look at the date. On the common large date, the 8 is big and round, and the 0 is wider. On the rare small date, the numbers are all smaller, narrower, and more delicate. The 8 is taller and skinnier, and the 0 is more of a perfect circle. The easiest way to spot it is to look at the number 8. On a large date, the top and bottom loops are the same size. On a small date, the top loop is significantly smaller than the bottom loop. Why is this a big deal? Because they are incredibly rare, especially from the Denver Mint. Finding one in circulation would be like winning the lottery. But the Real King is the .1980 D small date ***. This is one of the key modern Lincoln cent varieties. Even a worn, circulated example is worth $100 or more. A nice uncirculated one can easily be worth $200 to $500, and high-grade examples sell for over $1,000. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to grab your coin jar and start looking. Use a magnifying glass. Check every 1980 and 1980 D penny. Look for that skinny, small date. Look for that lopsided number 8. You are looking for a needle in a haystack, but what a needle it is. So, to summarize, your average circulated 1980 or 1980 D penny is worth 1 cent. Value comes from uncirculated examples. 10 cents to $10 plus. .1980 proofs ** are collectible and worth a few dollars. And the jackpot is the rare 1980 small date variety, particularly from the Denver Mint, which can be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. The humble penny is a piece of history, a tiny canvas for art and error. The 1980 cent proves that even with billions of coins made, there's always a chance for an incredible find. It keeps the hobby exciting. The 1981 Lincoln Memorial Cent. It's a time capsule from the early 80s. But could this humble 1-cent piece actually be worth more than, well, 1 cent? Could it be worth hundreds, or even thousands of dollars? The answer is a thrilling, it depends, stick around, because we're about to dive deep into the mintages, the varieties, and the secrets of the 1981 penny to see if you've been sitting on a small fortune this whole time. First, let's set the stage. The year is 1981. Ronald Reagan is president, MTV launches on television, and Raiders of the Lost Ark is dominating the box office. The U.S. Mint was busy, as always, producing billions of pennies for everyday commerce. But this particular year has a few fascinating quirks that make it special for collectors. To understand the value of any 1981 penny, you need to ask 3 critical questions. In 1981, pennies were struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark ***, this is the most common. Denver Mint, D mint mark ***, also very common. San Francisco Mint, S mint mark ***, this is where things get interesting. The San Francisco Mint in 1981 did not produce pennies for general circulation. They were exclusively making coins for collectors, specifically, proof coins that were sold in sets. Proof coin is struck multiple times with specially polished dies on polished planchets, blank coins. The result is a stunning, mirror-like background with frosted, detailed devices. They are not meant for spending. So, if you ever find a 1981 penny in your change, it almost certainly came from a broken-up collection, and its condition will determine its value. A typical circulated 1981 proof is still only worth about 25 to 50 cents. But in perfect proof condition, it's a $2 to $3 coin. Okay, so Philadelphia and Denver made the circulation coins. Here are the official mintage number. Those are astronomical numbers. With over 12 billion pennies produced between these 2 mints alone, they are undeniably common in circulated condition. So, if you have a worn 1981 or 1981 D penny, it is worth exactly 1 cent. Its value is its face value. But wait! Don't click away yet. This is where our second question comes in. The great 1981 date mystery. For the 1981 penny, there are 2 distinct varieties, the large date and the small date. This applies to both the Philadelphia and Denver issues. The differences are subtle but crucial. Here's how to tell them apart. The large date, the numbers are fatter and bolder. The base of the number 1 is flat and serifed. It has a little foot on it. Think of it as a sturdy, blocky date. The small date, the numbers are thinner, sharper, and more delicate. The most famous tell? The 1 has a diagonal base, almost like it's pointing down and to the left. It looks more modern. Why does this matter? Because of the third factor, condition. While both varieties are common in circulation, the 1981 small date proof coin has a legendary status due to a massive die crack error known as the spiked head Lincoln. This isn't an error on a circulation coin, it's an error on a proof coin. A die, the stamp that strikes the coin, developed massive cracks. When it struck these proof pennies, it transferred those crack lines onto the coin, creating what looks like spikes or jagged lines coming out of Lincoln's head. This is a famous and valuable error. A typical 1981 proof small date is worth a few dollars. But a 1981 proof small date with the spiked head error in high grade, like PR67, can sell for over $1,000. Now, this has led to confusion. People hear 1981 small date and think they're all valuable. But remember, the super valuable one is specifically the mint proof small date with the error. For the regular circulation coins from Philadelphia and Denver, the small date is actually slightly less common than the large date, but we're still talking about hundreds of millions minted. The real value comes in finding one of these in absolutely pristine, uncirculated condition. That means no scratches, no wear, full original mint red color, what collectors call a red penny. A 1981 D Lincoln Cent graded MS67RD, red, by a service like PCGS or NGC might sell for $30 to $50. The same coin in a near-perfect MS68RD could bring $200 or more. The price skyrockets with grade because so few coins survived without a single bag mark or touch of wear. But if you have one that looks like this, sealed in a collection, with brilliant luster and that classic copper red shine, then you might have a coin worth anywhere from a few dollars to a few $100s, especially if it's a high-grade small date or has some other interesting quality. Go check your coin jars. Look for the mint mark ***. Is it an S? You're already ahead. The date asterisk asterisk, get a magnifying glass and see if it's a small date or large date. The condition asterisk asterisk, is it worn smooth, or is it crisp and possibly uncirculated? Let me know what you find in the comments below. I love reading your treasure hunt stories. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1981 penny, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Coin Canvas for more numismatic mysteries. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss our next video, where we'll be investigating the 1943 steel penny and its copper counterpart that's worth over $1 million. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting!